listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Go to gbnews.com/shop now and take advantage of our biggest ever Black Friday sale with 25% off all items across our store and free shipping on orders worth £60 or more. There's never been a better time to grab something for the GB News fan in your life. From our signature clothing to drinkware, gifts, accessories and much, much more, you'll find the perfect present this festive season. Use the code BLACKFRIDAY25 on checkout at gbnews.com/shop for our best ever Black Friday deals.
Why go out on a Friday night when Friday night comes straight to your home?
Talking about?
Join me and my A-team of top pundits. Chemistry tonight is electric. As we tackle the big stories of the day with wit, insight and fearless energy.
Man of the people.
It's all vibe.
Just a filing cabinet on wheels with a tie on.
So, order in Friday Night Live with me, Mark Dolan, every Friday at 8, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Will, please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons,
Very, very curious.
we bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's 9 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight.
Louise Haigh has resigned this morning as Transport Secretary.
We've got some breaking news for you now. There are reports that Ukraine has used British-supplied Storm Shadow missiles.
Protests, resignations, more two-tier policing helping to kickstart World War III. I'm back with a bang as I ask, can Britain survive another 150 days of Keir Starmer plus? "20,000 illegal Channel migrants arrive under Labour, but..."
Would the Minister today commit to publishing that information in full?
Mr. Speaker, there's a huge statistical drop of immigration-related national statistics coming at the end of this week.
Well, that was a lie. Labour refused to reveal the details on criminal migrants. I've got Rupert Lowe MP on to talk about the great immigration cover-up. Also... well, it looked like British car icon Jaguar committed brand suicide. And now we can reveal that it absolutely has. It's worse than we all thought. They've unveiled a bright pink Barbie electric car that will appeal to absolutely nobody. Will they just go bust, do you think? I've got a lot more on tonight as well, like this.
It cannot be right that all pensioners receive a payment worth £200 to £300 a year, whatever their income.
Give us our money back, you shameless pensioner freezer. Now, Labour Minister there, Liz Kendall, cut the winter fuel payment but gets the taxpayer to pay for the heating bill in her second home. My fundraiser for Friends of the Elderly closes tonight. Let's try to get it over 400 grand if we can and tell this government, no, we won't let pensioners freeze to death on our watch. Plus...
handful of middle-class women of a certain age.
Oh, Greg Wallace, he came out swinging.
I want to apologise for any offence that I caused with my post yesterday and any upset I may have caused to a lot of people.
And now he's very sorry. But do women get a free pass when it comes to sexual harassment in the workplace? And...
if you are ill or have a disability, you must tell Universal Credit as soon as you make your claim.
or as soon as the illness or disability occurs. This will enable Universal Credit to provide you with the help and support you need.
I'll reveal the part of the UK where 50% of people who are unemployed have never worked. Why are we all paying their benefits? On my panel tonight is Daily Express columnist Carol Malone. We've got journalist Benjamin Butterworth and the ex-chairman of the Tory party, Sir Jake Berry. And isn't this just the most awkward thing you've ever seen?
3, 2, 1. Yay! It worked. Nervous moment there.
Ugh. Oh, and can you tell me what's going on here? It's good to be back. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Labour makes you pay the heating bills for illegal immigrants and cabinet ministers' second homes while they let pensioners freeze to death. Next.
Very good evening. It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Sphere Hill with your latest headlines from the GB Newsroom. Our top story this evening, Queen Camilla will miss the ceremonial welcome tomorrow for the Emir of the State of Qatar and Her Highness Sheikh Jaguar. GB News understands that there has been no alteration in any diagnosis or treatment being received, and Her Majesty just needs time to rest with the lingering side effects of a chest infection. The Emir of the State of Qatar and his wife arrived at Stansted Airport earlier today, ahead of a 2-day state visit hosted by King Charles in London. The Qatari head of state will be treated to a carriage procession up the Mall and a state banquet in Buckingham Palace's Grand Ballroom. Full coverage on GB News throughout the visit. The Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, has claimed the Tories' Rwanda plan did not stop a single boat, claiming the scheme cost £700 million of taxpayers' money. She went on to say the deterrent did not result in a single deportation or stop a single boat crossing the Channel, branding the whole thing a grotesque waste of money. But Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp claims the Rwanda scheme would have been an effective deterrent if allowed to go ahead.
The Labour government, after it was elected, cancelled that deterrent. They cancelled that Rwanda deterrent before it had even started. And had that flight taken off as planned, we would not have seen the 64% increase that we have seen since the election, exactly as the National Crime Agency foresaw. But it's not just me, it's not just the National Crime Agency. Even Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission, has called for European member states to implement an offshore processing scheme.
Now, Greg Wallace has apologised for any offence that he caused after posting a video saying complaints about his behaviour came from a handful of middle-class women of a certain age. Downing Street's labelled the comments as inappropriate and misogynistic, and Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy has raised the issue with BBC bosses. The corporation's under fire about claims senior management were warned about Wallace's alleged behaviour 4 times. The BBC says it takes any issues that are raised with us seriously, and we have a robust process in place to deal with them. Meanwhile, Greg Wallace's lawyer said that it's entirely false that he engages in behaviour of a sexually harassing nature. And TV presenter Davina McCall has thanked her surgeon Kevin O'Neill after surgery to remove a benign brain tumour. Posting to Instagram, she thanked him for being so brilliant throughout the whole procedure. She praised his experience and says she feels immensely grateful that he got the whole thing.
I know I gave him and Michael a bit of a scare straight after the op because I was so confused, but I am doing so well now. And I just wanted to thank him and all the team for taking such really, really good care of me. Thank you.
Those are the latest GB News headlines for now. I'm Sphere Hill, but now it's back to Patrick.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Give us our money back, you shameless pensioner-freezing, champagne socialist, heartless hypocrites. That's what we should all be saying to the likes of Labour Minister Liz Kendall. She lives in a £4 million house in Notting Hill. She stripped the elderly of their winter fuel payment so they'll freeze to death this winter. And she's getting the taxpayer to pay the heating bill in her second home. She reportedly got you to pay £3,182 for her energy costs for her constituency home between April 2023 and July this year. Well, poor Liz and her husband live on an estimated combined salary of £760,000 a year. She's the Work and Pensions Secretary. She gets a £67,500 ministerial salary on top of her 91 grand as an MP, reportedly. Her husband is an old Etonian banker, and his salary is estimated at £600,000 a year. That's according to various reports. Now, it makes me sick that the Labour Cabinet Minister responsible for frail, lonely, vulnerable pensioners freezing in their own homes is living a life of luxury, and she still expects you to pay her bills. In fact, pensioners will be paying her bills because they pay tax. So she's not the only one, though. Chancellor Rachel Reeves, I always get that wrong, invoiced you £4,400 to heat her home. In fact, since 2019, 162 Labour MPs have claimed £425,000 on expenses for home energy use. Energy Secretary, the irony, Ed Miliband's claims also shot up from £650 to £1,100. Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson's claims surged from £1,052 to £1,896. In total, 11 Cabinet Ministers claimed more than £12,600 for their gas and electric bills in the first 3 quarters of last year alone. Give us our money back. Give us our money back. In fact, Labour's Liam Byrne reportedly has the highest total of any single MP, with 17 grand's worth of claims in the last 6 years. He voted to cut the winter fuel payment and said that we had to do it to fill the black hole. Rubbish. What black hole? There's no black hole when it comes to illegal immigrants, is there? Labour loves paying for them. 20,000 have arrived since Starmer became Prime Minister. We've got more migrant hotels popping up everywhere.
100 guys from a country which we know did not value women.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's the hard... No, sorry. Is there going to be a curfew? Or are they just at 7 o'clock at night, just going to be able to wander around? Is my daughter going to be safe when she goes into Altrincham and has a few drinks? No, is the answer.
We can't lock people up who haven't committed any crimes. We cannot impose on them and restrict their movement if they haven't committed any crimes.
I've got an idea. Why don't old ladies get in a dinghy and come across the channel? Labour will give them everything for free then, wouldn't they? Foreign aid, we'll dish that out. Do you know that Labour sends foreign farmers more than £516 million, but they're hammering farmers in this country in a bid to raise £520 million? If you're foreign, Labour loves you. If you're a poor British pensioner, well, you can just freeze to death. Remember when Starmer said this?
Today, the energy price cap rise has been announced, and that's going to cause real pain for so many households. So many people have said to me, look here, I may not be the hardest up, but I'm going to really struggle to pay these energy bills. I understand, I completely understand, why so many people are frustrated at the government that's not doing anything about their energy bills.
Lie. Bingo. The energy price cap has risen again under Starmer. If he gets a bit cold in Downing Street, he could just go and stay at Chequers, can't he? If he gets a bit cold there, he can stay in his North London home. If he gets a bit cold there, I'm sure Lord Ali will put him up again. Labour might not have a heart, but GB News viewers and listeners certainly do, which is why you have raised, with gift aid, £400,000 for the Friends of the Elderly charity to help pay the energy bills for vulnerable pensioners. Thank you so much, everybody. You can donate at justgiving.com/page/save our seniors. Now, I'm going to be closing that fundraiser tonight at 10:30 p.m. Thank you again, everybody. But think about this. That 400 grand is nowhere near as much money as the reported annual salary of the Work and Pensions Minister and her banker husband, who make you pay their energy bills at their second home. Let's get the thoughts of my panel tonight. Daily Express columnist Carol Malone. We've also got journalist and broadcaster Benjamin Butterworth and the former chairman of the Tory party. It's Sir Jake Berry. Carol, should she give us the money back?
Of course she should. You know, I don't understand why she's claiming so much. You know, she doesn't own the house. She has a house in Leicester, because that's where she's been MP since 2010. She doesn't own the house, she rents it, which is no doubt paid as well. And she's spending 340 quid a month. Now, she's probably there a maximum of 2 days a week, because she lives in London, she's a minister, she's doing most of her work here. She has to go to constituency on a Friday. So, OK, so how is that costing £340 a month? The optics of this are outrageous there. You know, blazing hypocrites, every single one of these MPs who are doing this. You know, these allowances were brought in to allow people, ordinary people, who weren't rich, who wanted to become MPs, they were brought in to allow them to become MPs. Now it's becoming like the expenses gravy train of, you know, the Tories, the big scandal. They've got to be looked at again. They've got to be looked at, you know, they've got to be counted out what they're spending it on. She doesn't need to claim. I think if we're going to sort this out, they have to be means tested. So someone like her, who was on 700, 800 grand a year salary, will not claim. In the same way, Benjamin would put forward an argument that there are lots of millionaire pensioners in this country, even though there aren't, they might live in houses that are worth that. He would say they shouldn't get the winter fuel allowance. Well, people like Liz Kendall shouldn't get this.
Does Liz Kendall need a bit more champagne with the socialism, Jake, do you think?
Well, something like that. Look, I'm not here to defend the government. What I would say, as a member of Parliament myself, I claim for heating bills. It is a system that is set up to enable
you didn't
those
want to
who
take the winter fuel payment.
Well, let me come on to that. But it's a system to enable people who aren't necessarily wealthy to enter British politics. That system...
I think I might have just said that.
No, but you did say, didn't you, that it's the expenses scandal of the Tories. It's actually Gordon Brown.
But I did say what you just said. That's what was brought in for.
What makes this different, in her case, is the idea that you have not just her, but hundreds of Labour MPs who have trooped through the division lobbies of the House of Commons to take away the winter fuel allowance from pensioners getting just over 12,000. The MP's base salary, as you say, is 91 grand. You should be able to afford your own heating bill on that. Don't claim it if you're going to vote to see that taken away from other people. As a system, I don't think it's broken, but I do think this government has got hypocrisy written right across it.
I mean, look, Benjamin, I was going to ask how on earth she sleeps at night, but we know, don't we? Nice, cosy and warm.
Well, look, first of all, I think Carol's maths was a bit off. It was probably about £220 a month for the heating cost.
I'm sorry, 340. Over 15 months,
yeah,
that it works out to 340.
I don't think it does.
Okay.
And also, it was before she was a government minister for the majority of that time, so she probably was spending more time in Leicester. But look, you know, this is pathetic, quite frankly, as an attempt to criticise. I mean, every MP, unless they're extremely wealthy like Jacob Rees-Mogg, is entitled to their second home, which they only need so they can do the job.
Principle, Benjamin.
No, it's not a principle.
It is a matter of principle. She doesn't need... Her and her husband do not need 3 and a bit grand from the taxpayer to pay for their heating bill.
I think the point is Jacob Rees-Mogg, who is a very personally wealthy individual, I don't think he does claim for a second home. So there are MPs who
morally, he owns a second home, so that's different to these cases.
But morally.
But no, not at all, because morally everybody should get the same paying conditions for the same job, quite frankly. And the fact that she has a husband who has money is irrelevant.
Same paying conditions is one thing, not the same expenses.
No, that's wrong. OK, the fact is they pay their own bills. OK, but I tell you, I tell you who
they don't. They don't pay their own bills.
They do pay their own bills. You're misleading the viewers. The house that they live in, the house that they buy, they pay just like everyone else. But when you have to have another home that you have to live in to do your job, that is the employer that pays like any other job.
You don't have to have another home. You don't. You could stay in a hotel. You could rent it.
A lot more.
No, it would not cost.
A hotel.
In Leicester, for her, it would not cost a lot more. I'm sorry. For what she's claiming, you could get a really nice night in a hotel.
Sorry, just to be clear, that a middle-aged woman should spend 14 years so far living in a hotel.
Living in a hotel. What's that got to do with it? You sound a bit like Greg Wallace. What's the matter with you? Middle-aged woman. What's that got to do with it?
I'll get my apology in early in that case. But look, you know, let's look at the people that have been claiming expenses like Lee Anderson, a man that has the audacity to criticise her, and yet he took 17 grand in accommodation prices. He's on £200,000 a year.
He's not living.
And he takes £250,000 in expenses. So why don't you get Lee Anderson on this show to explain why he takes more money from the tax?
He's not living in a £4 million
Final word on
house.
this, Jake.
He could do on that salary.
This horrible word now, optics, I'm very sorry, I know that irritates people, but the optics of a Work and Pensions Minister standing at the dispatch box saying how it's ridiculous that these pensioners would be getting this kind of benefit, etc., when she is absolutely wadded. And so is Keir Starmer, so is Ed Miliband, so are all these people who are not at all touched by this. And this, right now, literally right now, this second, there will be pensioners at home watching this show, freezing in their living rooms. Is it not a terrible look?
Oh, it's absolutely appalling. It actually speaks to what has gone wrong for the Labour Party since they came to power. Their messaging, the hypocrisy, the fact that, the Chancellor of the Exchequer is Rachel from accounts rather than the crack economist we were told about. They just simply can't get anything right. This is the latest in a string of hypocrisy and scandal, and that is what Keir Starmer's first 150 days in government is going to be remembered for.
Just a little figure for people who want to, if they're not disgusted enough, 40,000 terminally ill pensioners have had their winter fuel allowance cut.
Shocking.
Yeah.
It's shocking. And actually, you mentioned there Keir Starmer's Great Reset that we're going to get on Thursday, apparently, where he sets out his 5 priorities, none of which are immigration. He had to add that in afterwards because...
Or growing the economy.
Well, it can't be anymore, can it? Because because we physically can't grow it anymore because of the budget. But anyway, we're going to be talking about that a little bit later on. Now, speaking of the weekend, a source close to Liz Kendall said the accommodation cost budget is designed to meet costs incurred by MPs as a result of working from 2 permanent locations. MPs of all parties are entitled to this. They continue paying their utility bills for their own homes like everyone else. And yes, I will stress, there's absolutely no indication whatsoever she's broken any rules or broken the law or anything. It's a moral thing. Just to say as well, that fundraiser is slamming shut. 10:30 p.m. tonight, hopefully, if I can figure out how to close it. I think I can. Anyway, justgiving.com/page/save our seniors. Please, give what you can. It's closing tonight at 10:30, almost definitely. And it's time now for our biggest and greatest Great British giveaway this year, and your chance to win 50 grand in tax-free cash. Labour ministers are not allowed to enter. It's the biggest cash prize we've ever given away, and it could be all yours just in time for Christmas. So here's how you can win.
It's our festive treat to you. Your chance to win an incredible £50,000 in tax-free cash. Our biggest ever Great British giveaway. What would you spend £50,000 on in the coming year? Spectacular holidays, a brand new car, home improvements? Or maybe you'd just like to save it for a special occasion? For your chance to win £50,000 cash, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. You can call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB10 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 31st of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck indeed. Now, coming up... Yes, Jaguar's woke relaunch continues, with leaked images unveiling its Barbie pink new electric car. It's gone from bad to worse for the iconic British brand. I'll reveal just how bad, and I'll be joined by Top Gear's original stick, Perry McCarthy, for reaction to that very soon. But first...
I find it quite pleasant. Left to my own devices, I'd probably munch the living daylights out of your little tart.
Greg Wallace is fighting for his career tonight after more than 13 women have accused him of making sexually inappropriate comments. But would a woman have gotten away with similar behaviour, do you think? The political commentator Peter Lloyd and journalist Emma Wolfe go head-to-head on that next. Don't go anywhere.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Phil Kearsey is bringing a new flavour to the Michelin-starred restaurant Pied à Terre as he becomes its new executive head chef. Customers can expect a menu that showcases modern British cooking accompanied by classical French roots, which uses hyper-seasonal ingredients. What are hyper-seasonal ingredients? That's an interesting phrase.
It's more about just reacting to the seasonality of everything. We like to change the menu all the time. So basically, I surround myself with the best suppliers, and they tell me what's amazing at the moment, and then we try and celebrate that in the restaurant in many different forms, using taste, texture and technique, and just try and celebrate something as humble as a broccoli stem or a cauliflower, using absolutely everything, and making sure we've got an ever-changing menu, so letting the seasons dictate, so it's never boring and we never get menu fatigue.
OK, your career has taken you around the world a bit.
Yeah.
For example, you were in the United States. What did you learn there?
So, well, every chef I've worked for, it's about to take something from. A lot of chefs will go places and just stay in one establishment and get to the top, and then that's it. I've kind of then went to another chef to learn completely different things. That's the brilliant thing, to be able to surround myself with such amazing chefs throughout my career, because I've learned different things from all of them. And you find out 5 different ways to do something, and you find the way that you like it the best. And it's also about understanding it takes a while to understand how the restaurant is, going through the history of all these amazing chefs that have been before me, the style, because it needs to make sense. You wouldn't have a dish that should be at the Fat Duck and then a dish that should be at the Waterside, you know. You need to make sure that it all makes sense and it goes together with the decor, the service, the wine serving, and so we want to be the restaurant, not that does a little bit of everything. We want to be the best French restaurant in London, you know.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Will, please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons,
Very, very curious.
we bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Dubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the arguments. We get rid of the disrespect, and then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mark Dolan tonight is your weekend dose of news, debate and entertainment. This sounds like a wild conspiracy theory. Don't miss My Big Opinion. Mark Meets and My Take at 10.
Democracy is a funny old thing.
And we don't do boring, not on my watch. I just won't have it.
Let's go and get another glass of that bubbly. You've earned it.
That's Mark Dolan tonight, Saturday and Sunday, 9 to 11, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight on GB News. Coming up, will the car manufacturer Jaguar prove that if you go woke, you go broke? But first, would a woman have got away with what Greg Wallace stands accused of? It's time now for our head-to-head. So, Greg Wallace is fighting tonight to save his career after he was axed from MasterChef pending the outcome of an investigation into claims that he made sexually inappropriate comments on a range of TV programmes over a 17-year period. According to The Telegraph, the BBC presenter is alleged to have made comments like, "Me so horny," to an Asian contestant, and, since the allegations emerged, clips of Wallace making innuendo jokes towards female contestants on shows like MasterChef have been revealed.
I find it quite pleasant. Left to my own devices, I'd probably munch the living daylights out of you little tart.
But in an Instagram post yesterday, Wallace came out swinging.
In the newspaper, I can see the complaints coming from a handful of middle-class women of a certain age just from Celebrity MasterChef.
And now he's had a change of heart, apologising earlier today.
I wasn't in a good headspace when I posted it. I've been under a huge amount of stress, a lot of emotion. I felt very alone, under siege yesterday when I posted it. It's obvious to me I need to take some time out.
Tonight I'm asking, would a woman have gotten away with what Greg Wallace has allegedly done? Going head-to-head on this now, the political commentator Peter Lloyd and the journalist Emma Wolfe. Thank you very much both for joining us. Look, Emma, I will start with you. You know, you do see women on hen-dos and the odd little comments around the workplace. It made me wonder whether or not a woman might have gotten away with the kind of stuff that Greg Wallace has allegedly said.
Well, of course, women, girls can be smutty, they can make jokes, whatever. But it's really hard, Patrick, to find direct comparisons on this one. Because in my experience, sort of female bosses, female presenters in the industry, and I've worked in the industry for like 10 years, it's hard to find direct comparisons to kind of male presenter like Greg Wallace in a female. Mostly women don't act like this. Mostly women don't make other people feel, and I'm not talking directly about Greg Wallace because it's under investigation, but mostly it's a gender stereotype, but mostly, in fact, the vast majority of women in power, female presenters, bosses, producers, whatever, don't act like this. They're not making endless sexual innuendos. They're not encroaching on other people's space. They're not badgering people for sex. They're not staring at their breasts. And any woman over the age of 30, I would say, has had male bosses or worked with men who make them feel like that, who act like that. And mostly women don't.
OK. Now, Peter, I'll bring you in on this because, you know, we do see sometimes, it always makes the tabloids, doesn't it, about some of these kind of ridiculous and obscure sexual harassment cases that somehow find their way into a civil court, and you think, goodness gracious me. I wonder what... Very rarely, as far as, in fact, I can't really remember seeing it at all, about a man bringing one of these cases against a woman. I just wonder how you feel about that. Do you think that a woman would have got away with this kind of stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Women enjoy a huge amount of female privilege when it comes to this kind of behaviour. And I heard Emma speak then, and all I will say is, what a load of old guff. Here are some direct comparisons to what Greg Wallace is supposed to have done. Here's an image that I sent to your producer earlier. Here is Lorraine Kelly upskirting Ben Shepherd in a kilt. If a man did that to a woman, he would have been fired on the spot and his life would have been destroyed. But people like Emma, other feminists like Emma, totally silent on cases like this. You look at Shirley Ballas, the judge on BBC Strictly. She's been leering over Pete Wicks for weeks. There have even been complaints set to the BBC. But of course, nothing happens because she's a woman and the victim is a man. The same thing happened with Katy Perry. During the Me Too movement, she was accused of sexual assault by one of the dancers. Nothing happened to her. She was allowed to live by a different set of rules because she's a woman. And when I see these allegations against Greg Wallace, I mean, perhaps there is some truth to them, I do not know. But what I really see beneath the surface is rank hypocrisy. That's what I see. OK.
Emma, well, I'll let you come back to that, but also ask you a bit more...
Can I come back on that?
Yeah, absolutely. But I'll also ask you directly as well. Do you think whenever something like this gets lobbed out about a man, that's like just game over for him? When sometimes, and again, I'm not saying this is directly the case here at all, but when sometimes there isn't a huge amount of proof.
Yeah, no, I agree with you that I hate the cancel culture. I hate the idea that, you know, a couple of people can come forward, often 10, 15 years later, say some stuff, and someone is absolutely cancelled from their career, from their life, from everything. I hate that. I really, really object to that. And I think it's a sort of horrible part of modern culture. I also really hate Peter using the term feminist as a sort of abusive term there and saying that I'm talking absolute guff. I don't think that's necessary, by the way. And I would also
But it's true. I mean, if it's true, why can't I say it?
Right,
we'll let Emma go.
Thank you so much.
You are speaking.
I also think that actually society and the media treat women very, very harshly. If a woman
give me a break.
If a woman transgresses in any way, if a woman abuses her position of power, look at Naomi Campbell allegedly bullying, throwing mobile phones around. Look at Meghan Markle allegedly bullying staff members. Look at Caroline Flack, who was hounded with tragic results after an altercation.
Oh my God! No, actually, Emma. No, Emma. Actually, no. I'm sorry, Emma. The reality is
allegations of domestic abuse.
No,
look at any
Caroline Flack. Caroline Flack lost her career and she killed herself because she violently abused her boyfriend in an incident of domestic violence.
Just to stop, I want to keep it on topic. I certainly don't want to get into anything involving Caroline Flack, and I certainly don't want to get.
She beat up her boyfriend.
When it's that tragic or anything like that at all. So I certainly don't want to get involved in that stuff. Emma, sorry, just finish your point about whether or not you do think that actually sometimes. What women surely do get away with stuff sometimes, do you think, Emma, or not at all?
I just think it's a different culture. I don't think that women tend to make other people feel the way that allegedly Greg Wallace had made them feel. So I don't think we can make a direct comparison. I was trying to make the comparison. When women step out of line, they are absolutely vilified. When they don't act, if they are assertive, they're called aggressive, they're called bullying. So I do think it's a difficult one to draw direct comparisons between the genders. But no, I don't think women are getting away with it. I think men have been getting away with it, Patrick, for centuries. Men have been getting away with it.
Yeah, OK, fair enough. All right, look, both of you, thank you very much. It was a lively debate, certainly. So thank you for that. Going head-to-head on that word, political commentator Peter Lloyd and journalist Emma Wolfe. So, right, I've got loads more coming your way throughout the course of this show. It's time for something a little bit different here at GBNews. Christmas is fast approaching, isn't it? During Advent, as we count down to Christmas Day, we are hearing from church ministers across the country. Each day, they have a special message for you to celebrate the festive season.
The GBNews Advent Calendar. Day 2.
My name's Marcus. I'm a priest in the Church of England. Imagine trying to walk through a room that is completely dark. As you try and feel your way around, you're bumping into things, tripping over things, and making a complete mess in the process. Without light, we cannot see the truth about things. We end up getting confused, disorientated, and lost in the dark. Maybe this is how you feel in a spiritual sort of sense. When we are spiritually in the dark, we don't know who we are, where we are from, or where we are going. Evil becomes good, and good becomes evil. As we approach Christmas and all the Christmas lights go up, a light has dawned in the darkness. With the birth of Jesus Christ, he came to earth to shed a light on the truth about God and about life, which means we no longer have to walk in darkness. Jesus tells us in John chapter 8, verse 12, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never have to walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." This is Emmanuel, God with us.
And you can see all of our special Advent messages as Christmas approaches by visiting gbnews.com/Advent. We are certainly not afraid to say Merry Christmas, everybody. Now, coming up very soon, after it emerged today that sickness benefits pay £3,000 more than a minimum wage job, I'll reveal the part of the UK where 50% of people who are unemployed have never worked a single day in their entire lives. Why are we paying their benefits? That's what I'll be asking the former editor of The Sun, Kelvin Mackenzie, but first... Yes, Jaguar's woke relaunch continues, with leaked images now unveiling its Barbie pink new electric car. It's gone from bad to worse for the iconic British brand. I'll reveal just how bad. And I'll be joined by Top Gear's original Stig, Perry McCarthy. That's next.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Turning very cold overnight in northern areas with a sharp frost and a risk of ice. Cloudier elsewhere though, so not turning quite as chilly, but it's still going to be a fairly cold night on offer for all. We've currently got high pressure sat to the north of the country. That's bringing in a cold northerly flow of air, bringing us that risk of frost and ice overnight. So any showers across Scotland, Northern Ireland, northern parts of England, generally easing away. Plenty of clear skies here where we're likely to see that sharp frost by the time we reach the morning. Perhaps even some freezing fog patches and some icy stretches too, but much cloudier across central and southern areas, a slight breeze here, so it will still be a cold night, but it's not going to be turning quite as frosty. So to start the day on Tuesday, do take care if you're out and about early, likely to see a sharp frost and some icy stretches. Still a few showers feeding into western parts too. Similar across Northern Ireland, plenty of clear skies here, so likely to see some frosty conditions. Once again, a risk of ice too. But elsewhere across central parts of England, southern England, parts of Wales too, more cloud here, so still a chilly start to the day, but not turning quite as frosty. And generally for many of us, it's going to be a largely settled day. Plenty of sunny spells, though still on the chilly side. We will start to see a bit of a change from the west, some cloud and outbreaks of rain moving into parts of Cornwall, and similar across western parts of Scotland, some outbreaks of rain here too. Heavy at times, and may even start to see some snow across higher levels too. But on the whole, a chilly day, highs of between 8 to 10 Celsius in the south. Heading into Wednesday, once again, rain clearing overnight, leaving a risk of ice, particularly across Scotland in the morning, but otherwise largely settled, plenty of sunshine, though once again we'll start to see cloud move in from the west, seeing some outbreaks of rain across Northern Ireland, western parts of Scotland too. And it's fairly unsettled towards the end of the week, milder though, before it turns cold again into the weekend. Bye-bye.
Go to gbnews.com/shop now and take advantage of our biggest ever Black Friday sale with 25% off all items across our store and free shipping on orders worth £60 or more. There's never been a better time to grab something for the GB News fan in your life. From our signature clothing to drinkware, gifts, accessories and much, much more, you'll find the perfect present this festive season. Use the code BLACKFRIDAY25 on checkout at gbnews.com/shop for our best ever Black Friday deals.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight. Now, the car manufacturer Jaguar's woke relaunch continued today with images of the brand's new electric car leaked online. So that's hot on the heels of the woke ad that sparked outrage when it was released 2 weeks ago. Here's a little reminder. Well, as far as I'm concerned, this is absolutely bonkers. You know, Jaguar, I believe, was started in a Blackpool workshop in northern England. Their share price has since plummeted and they appear to have more than doubled down on whatever the heck is going on here. But Perry McCarthy, the original Stig on Top Gear, joins me now. He's a man who knows a lot more about this stuff than I do. Perry, thank you very much, mate. Great to have you on the show. I mean, is this not just brand suicide? I mean, who are they appealing to here? Who buys a Barbie pink electric Jag?
Well, to be fair to them, that's not been confirmed that that's the actual car. I think that whatever they do, and they do have to do quite a bit, they need to live up to their slogans on this new ad about copy nothing, be different, live vivid, all that kind of stuff. But I'll defend Jag in some ways, actually, is that they've got to do something because, in my personal opinion, we all adore and remember the cars of the 60s and the 70s, etc. But for quite a long time now, I've not been really in love with anything Jag's done, and that's been reflected in their sales figures, which have plummeted internationally as well as UK. So they've definitely got to do something.
Well, I almost find it quite insulting, right? It's this kind of iconic British brand, not famed for its reliability, let's be honest, but people get it because of what it seemed to stand for, or maybe even a hark back to the past. That kind of red E-type, which has, you know, got the kind of historic idea of a supermodel in the passenger seat and a racing driver smoking a roll-up in the driving seat and all of that. I mean, this couldn't be a further departure from that if they're trying. Is it not almost insulting to their traditional customer base?
Well, maybe the traditional customer base isn't buying their cars anymore because, you know, their sales are falling off the cliff. They can't keep living in the 60s. If they want to remanufacture the E-Type again, fantastic. We'll all have a big round of applause, but they're not. So they've got to do something. Their ad wasn't completely my cup of tea, but it's certainly got you, me, everybody else talking. I just wish maybe their people would have smiled a little bit. That's the thing that I probably would have said. It would have been nice to think that there's joy coming up with the announcement of the Jag and something vivid is coming out. But they've captured the imagination here, or pardon me, captured attention. So they've got a lot to live up to. So it's next week in Miami. It's going to be launched, and let's hope it's dramatic and puts them into the luxury sector, which is what they're trying to be, where they're trying to get back to. Because at the moment they've been completely swamped in the middle market. You know, BMW, Audi, Mercedes. That Jaguar just haven't stood out for a real long time. So that gravitas that they had, that Jaguar thing that we all thought, wow, it's fallen off a cliff ages ago. They need to bring it back, which they may be able to do.
I just think it's borderline insulting as far as I'm concerned, right? Because you've got a lot of people out there who bought a Jag because it represented British car manufacturing, who maybe saved up a lot of money to them to go and get themselves a Jag, and then maybe they bought one or they got one on finance. And that's the other aspect where I think Jaguar are going to be very, very, they're going to be in the proverbial here, because a lot of people got Jaguars on finance and signed up to a deal, and then the company has changed. People will feel like they bought a house in Chelsea and they woke up one morning and people moved that house to Rotherham and they're not sure what's going on. I mean, how big is the market, seriously, for something that's been advertised by androgynous aliens that you have to plug in every morning?
Well, the people who have bought Jags, if they don't like where Jag's going, they can sell their Jag, can't they?
What are they going to be worth, though, Perry? This is the issue, isn't it, mate? What are they going to be worth? You know, if the brand's in the toilet, then it's gone, hasn't it?
Well, then they can keep hold of the car for a real long time. If they're happy with the car that they've bought, they shouldn't really be worried about where it's going unless they want to buy one of those cars. I mean, that's my opinion on it. So I don't think Jaguar or anybody who loved Jaguar in the past can keep living in the past. Jaguar was mega for so long, it's fantastic. I think personally, Jaguar fell over a real long time ago. So, you know, all the people who are kind of saying, oh, Jaguar, we miss Jaguar. Where were they when Jaguar needed sales? They haven't had the right product for long enough. They've got to do something about that. This advert, not completely my cup of tea, but it's got the attention. From this ad and all the slogans and everything else and that energy that they're trying to put into it, I will revert to saying I wish they would have smiled a bit more, but that's my personal view. But they've set themselves up to say, we're bringing out something that's mega. Okay, we are now all watching Jaguar.
We are.
For me personally, I hope you do.
It was a bold flex for that bright pink Barbie-coloured thing to emerge immediately after that particular advert. But hey, whatever. If we listen closely, we might be able to hear the sound of a marketing guru getting the sack tomorrow. But we don't know. Perry, thank you very much, mate. Great to have you on the show, and to be in the presence of a true legend, actually, and see you with the helmet off as well. That's Perry McCart there. Thank you very much. Coming up. Yeah. The Prime Minister has been in power now for 150 days. We've already had protests, we've had resignations, a freebie scandal, more two-tier policing, helping to kickstart World War III, and a special relationship in tatters. And that, by the way, is just the last 2 weeks. So can Britain survive another 150 days off Keir Starmer? That's at 10. But before that, well, it emerged today that sickness benefits pay you £3 more than a minimum wage job. And I'm going to reveal which part of the UK it is where 50% of people who are unemployed have never worked a day in their lives, which begs the question, why are we paying their benefits? Kelvin McKenzie joins me next.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Will, please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons,
Very, very curious.
we bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Nana Acquia. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
The way in which children are being driven online because we're not taking them seriously offline. And what we're tending to do is seeing the problems entirely on the social media, forgetting the fact that we've given up on children being able to work independently and play independently outdoors. We've basically created a world where the digital bedroom has become this go-to area for a lot of young kids. We've given up on old-fashioned parenting, where we try to cultivate their resilience. And now we blame everything, all the problems that occur online. You have to remember that if you take something like bullying, bullying, doesn't have to only take place online. It happens all the time, offline, in everyday life. But yet we only see the problem on the social media, and there's this obsession with the social media where every single problem that afflicts childhood is blamed on it. And that distracts us from actually understanding what we're doing wrong with children. So for me, and I hate when I see children with digital technology, when I see them with smartphones. I'm not a fan. I'm much more concerned about the fact that parents, use their digital phones when they're having dinner with their kids and giving very bad examples in relation to that. But the real problem, it seems to me, is offline, and that's why we've got to crack the issue. So for me, the banning issue is entirely a headline-grabbing political gambit. And I think that we should be much more focused on the real problems rather than delude ourselves that anything will improve.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Jubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the argument. We get rid of the disrespect. And then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Patrick Christys tonight on GB News. Coming up at 10 p.m. Can Britain possibly survive another 150 days of Keir Starmer? But first, it's emerged today that sickness benefits are worth £3,000 a year more than a minimum wage job. That's according to analysis by the Centre for Social Justice think tank. Further shocking data has also revealed that the town of Grimsby is Britain's workless capital after it emerged that more than half of adults are on benefits and life expectancy is 12 years below average. 53% of people in Lincolnshire's seaside town were on welfare benefits in the first quarter of this year. And here we go. So in parts of Birmingham, 41% of unemployed people have never worked a single day in their entire lives. And the part of the UK where 50% of people who are currently unemployed have never worked is Tower Hamlets in London. Who could have guessed that? I'm joined now by the former editor of The Sun, Kelvin Mackenzie. Kelvin, why are we giving handouts to all of these people?
Well, it's a very good point. And of course, those handouts are growing. And these are dramatic numbers that a rich country would quibble at compared to a poor country. If it carries on like this, at the end of by the time we get to 2030, we will be spending $100 billion a year on these kinds of benefits. And our problem is this, that 30% of all the new claims are coming through mental health, ADHD, depression, autism. And look, let's be honest about it. In my wider family, I know people with challenges. By the way, they all go to work. The truth about the matter is that we have a medical system where if you call up and you say, you gave me a month off for stress, I want another month. The doctor just signs it off. I don't blame the doctor. It's not their job. We need to have somebody who says, actually, mate, we don't believe you this. We're not going to sign you off. And until we change that system, if all the pressure goes on already overworked and in-demand GPs, nothing is going to change. And I am extremely concerned what's going to happen. The only thing that's saving this country at the moment, the only thing is that there is actually not a lot of demand for work, right?
Yeah.
So if there were, we wouldn't be able to satisfy it with our indigenous workforce.
No. But, I mean, this is just the absolute shattering of the social contract, isn't it? Which is that we've invited however many millions of people in every single year, pretty much. And you look around you and you think, if you were a young person now, going through university, doing whatever, what's the point of getting a job? You know, everyone else seems to be signed off. You can be £3 a year better off on the sick than you can in work. It sucks the ambition out of a country, does it? The only way Starmer can get around this, surely, is if he decides to cut benefits, which as a Labour Prime Minister he'll never do.
Which he won't do. And as well, he wrote a ridiculous thing. I don't know whether you saw it in the Mail on Sunday a couple of Sundays ago, in which he said that we are going to be tough with everybody, but we've got to treat these people with dignity and respect. How can you at the same time say, look, we're knocking 30% off your benefits, and by the way, because we think you're at it, at the same time, do you terribly mind if you take that 30% off your benefits? It can't be done. We are in a very, very difficult position right now. Look, there is only one government that could actually do this properly. It's a Labour government, and they've got no inclination towards doing it. We are going to become poorer because we are indulging anybody who wants to say, I tell you what, taking your point, I'm going to be better off if I don't get up in the morning and let somebody else who does get up in the morning pay for my benefits. It is a scandal, but it's a scandal which has dominated other governments on top of the Labour government.
Yeah.
What have the Tories done for the last 14 years? And so I'm looking forward to another party. It won't be the Liberals. Somebody has got to be bold about it and has got to promise it in their manifesto and then do it. We are going to be having this discussion, you and I, over the next 5 years.
Well, because also the people who end up having to pay for this, or the people who can pay for it, sorry, are the wealthy, right? They pay more in tax. Well, they're leaving, aren't they? They're leaving and they're getting hammered. And we're seeing other economic figures coming out today. Like the high streets are the worst November, the worst spell of time since the pandemic because of what we're seeing in the budget, right? So it's
and
a
also
potent
the worst
cocktail.
I totally agree with you. And the worst manufacturing output for a year, for 12 months. That 5.8% retail drop will be an absolute shocker. We are looking, I can say, you wouldn't have to be a genius, we are looking at rising unemployment in our country over the next year. And then I'd like to say to Mr. Starmer, you got elected on the basis of growth, but nobody said that the growth would come in unemployment figures.
Yeah. Well, Starmer obviously does vociferously make the case that he's inherited all of this stuff. It's interesting, though, isn't it? And I'm going to come on to this very shortly. He appears to be dropping his pledge to make us the fastest-growing G7 economy. And I wonder why.
You know what he's substituting? He's substituting it for being the slowest growth. You know, I mean, honestly, I get sick and tired. Why doesn't he just face up to it and say, we're going to carry on paying, we're going to carry on paying these sickness benefits, we're going to carry on upgrading benefits generally, and unfortunately, you're going to pay for it. Why doesn't he just tell the truth like that?
Well, there we go, possibly because it's electoral suicide, isn't it? But Calvin, thank you very much. Calvin Mackenzie, there, former editor of The Sun. Coming up at 10, well, the Prime Minister has been in power now for 150 days. Already we've had protests, resignations, more two-tier policing. I'm going to be asking, can Starmer survive another 150 days as Prime Minister? Don't miss it. I'll see you in a minute.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Turning very cold overnight in northern areas with a sharp frost and a risk of ice. Cloudier elsewhere though, so not turning quite as chilly, but it's still going to be a fairly cold night on offer for all. We've currently got high pressure sat to the north of the country. That's bringing in a cold northerly flow of air, bringing us that risk of frost and ice overnight. So any showers across Scotland, Northern Ireland, northern parts of England, generally easing away. Plenty of clear skies here where we're likely to see that sharp frost by the time we reach the morning. Perhaps even some freezing fog patches and some icy stretches too, but much cloudier across central and southern areas, a slight breeze here, so it will still be a cold night, but it's not going to be turning quite as frosty. So to start the day on Tuesday, do take care if you're out and about early, likely to see a sharp frost and some icy stretches, still a few showers feeding into western parts too. Similar across Northern Ireland, plenty of clear skies here, so likely to see some frosty conditions, once again a risk of ice too. But elsewhere across central parts of England, southern England, parts of Wales too, more cloud here, so still a chilly start to the day, but not turning quite as frosty. And generally for many of us, it's going to be a largely settled day. Plenty of sunny spells, though still on the chilly side. We will start to see a bit of a change from the west, some cloud and outbreaks of rain moving into parts of Cornwall, and similar across western parts of Scotland, some outbreaks of rain here too. Heavy at times, and may even start to see some snow across higher levels too. But on the whole, a chilly day, highs of between 8 to 10 Celsius in the south. Heading into Wednesday, once again, rain clearing overnight, leaving a risk of ice, particularly across Scotland in the morning, but otherwise largely settled, plenty of sunshine, though once again we'll start to see cloud move in from the west, seeing some outbreaks of rain across Northern Ireland, western parts of Scotland too. And it's fairly unsettled towards the end of the week, milder though, before it turns cold again into the weekend. Bye-bye.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
You could be joining the Great British Giveaway list of winners with your chance to grab a fantastic £50,000 in tax-free cash. We've made loads of winners this year, and you could be our next.
Hi, I'm Angela from Wigan, and I won £30,000 with the Great British Giveaway. It happens to people like me.
For your chance to win, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. You can call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB10 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 31st of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Go to gbnews.com/shop now and take advantage of our biggest ever Black Friday sale with 25% off all items across our store and free shipping on orders worth £60 or more. There's never been a better time to grab something for the GB News fan in your life. From our signature clothing to drinkware, gifts, accessories and much, much more, you'll find the perfect present this festive season. Use the code BLACKFRIDAY25 on checkout at gbnews.com/shop for our best ever Black Friday deals.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes. Thank you for joining us on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight.
Louise Haigh has resigned this morning as Transport Secretary.
We've got some breaking news for you now. There are reports that Ukraine has used British-supplied Storm Shadow missiles.
Protests, resignation, more two-tier policing, helping to kickstart World War III. I'm back with a bang as I ask, can Britain survive another 150 days of Keir Starmer? Plus... 20,000 illegal channel migrants arrive under Labour, but...
Would the Minister today commit to publishing that information in full?
Mr. Speaker, there's a huge statistical drop of immigration-related national statistics coming at the end of this week.
Well, that was a lie, wasn't it? Because Labour refused to reveal the details on criminal migrants. I've got that MP you heard there, Rupert Lowe, on to talk about the great immigration cover-up. Also...
It cannot be right that all pensioners receive a payment worth £200 to £300 a year, whatever their income.
Give us our money back, you shameless pensioner freezer. Labour Minister Liz Kendall there cut the winter fuel payment and gets you, the taxpayer, to pay the heating bill in her second home. Now, my fundraiser for Friends of the Elderly closes in a few minutes' time. Let's try to ramp it up a little bit more, can we? And tell this government, no, we won't let pensioners freeze to death on our watch. JustGiving.com/page/save our seniors. I'm also going to be talking about this.
Handful of middle-class women of a certain age. I want to apologise for any offence that I caused with my post yesterday.
Do we think that Greg Wallace might be on the front pages again? Well, I'll reveal all of tomorrow's lead stories with Daily Express columnist Carol Malone, journalist Benjamin Butterworth and the ex-chairman of the Tory party, Sir Jake Berry. And goodness gracious me, isn't this just the most awkward thing you've ever seen?
3, 2, 1... Yay! It worked! Nervous moment there.
Is that a human being? Oh, and can you tell me what's going on here? Get ready, Britain, here we go. Look, I might have been off for 2 weeks, but it's Keir Starmer who's had the holiday. We get stuck into him next.
Very good evening. It's just gone 10 o'clock. I'm Sophia Hill with your latest headlines from the GB Newsroom. In the last hour, Sir Keir Starmer has said we must not choose between our allies. Speaking at the Lord Mayor's banquet about the UK's international affairs this evening, the Prime Minister said how maintaining our strength abroad gives us a foundation to succeed at home. In his speech, he cited former Prime Minister Clement Attlee, his government and the formation of NATO, calling it the greatest alliance in history.
Against the backdrop of these dangerous times, the idea that we must choose between our allies, that somehow we're with either America or Europe, is plain wrong. I reject it utterly. Attlee did not choose between allies. Churchill did not choose. The national interest demands that we work with both.
Queen Camilla will miss the ceremonial welcome for the Emir of the State of Qatar and Her Highness Sheikha Jaguar tomorrow. GB News understands there has been no alteration in any diagnosis or treatment being received, and Her Majesty just needs time to rest with lingering side effects of a chest infection. The Emir of the State of Qatar and his wife arrived at Stansted Airport earlier today ahead of their 2-day state visit hosted by King Charles in London. The Qatari head of state will be treated to a carriage procession up the Mall and a state banquet in Buckingham Palace's Grand Ballroom. There'll be full coverage on GB News throughout the visit. And Greg Wallace has apologised for any offence that he caused after posting a video saying complaints about his behaviour came from a handful of middle-class women of a certain age. Downing Street's labelled the comments as inappropriate and misogynistic, and Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy has raised the issue with BBC bosses. The corporation's under fire about claims senior management were warned about Wallace's alleged behaviour 4 times. The BBC said it takes any issues that are raised with us seriously, and we have a robust processes in place to deal with them. Meanwhile, Greg Wallace's lawyers say it's entirely false that he engages in a behaviour of sexually harassing nature. And to end some weather, travel disruption could be on the way, with Met Office warning icy stretches and some dense freezing fog this week. Temperatures could plunge to as low as -8 degrees Celsius after a pretty mild weekend, with tonight expected to be the coldest night of the week. Parts of Scotland over high ground are expected to reach the lowest temperatures. Those are the latest GB News headlines for now. I'm Sophia Hill. Bounce back to Patrick.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Welcome along. Now, it's been 150 days of Sir Keir Starmer as Prime Minister. It's been the kind of car crash that the M6 will be proud of. But forget the 150 days. I've been off for 2 and a bit weeks. Let's just have a look at what's happened in that short space of time. We've had farmers' protests. Then it emerged that Labour was crippling British farmers to raise £520 million, but they're giving away £516 million to foreign farmers in foreign aid. Keir Starmer then, quotes, fled like a rat out of the back door whilst farmers protested the Welsh Labour conference. Chancellor Rachel Reeves is accused of lying on her LinkedIn profile. If so, this is bad news for Reeves, who will surely have to resign, because Transport Secretary Louise Haigh did quit, because apparently she didn't tell the government that she'd been convicted of fraud for allegedly lying about her mobile phone being nicked. But then it emerged that maybe Keir Starmer did know about this when he appointed her, which is odd, because he's previously said this.
The game is up. You cannot be a lawmaker and a lawbreaker.
There was more madness as our Prime Minister is so desperate to give away a bit of sovereign British territory, essentially to the Chinese, that he is trying to rush the Chagos Islands deal through before Trump becomes president. Starmer did, however, work with the current US president, senile Joe Biden, to help kickstart World War III by allowing British-made missiles to be fired into Russia. He voted in favour of assisted dying, despite the Labour MP who put the legislation forward appearing to not even understand the law she wants to create. They're not allowed to advertise cheese or junk food on the London Underground, but you can advertise literal death. Adverts for assisted dying at tube stations. Bonkers. Labour's budget was so bad that Starmer appears to have dropped his pledge to make Britain the fastest-growing economy in the G7. This is because shops are now suffering their worst slump in sales since the pandemic because of fears over the economy. It's a good job Rachel Reeves used to work in complaints, isn't it? Now, a Muslim Labour MP wants to introduce blasphemy laws in Britain, and Starmer didn't rule it out. Good stuff. Talking of laws, Starmer said that he wanted to make it illegal to spike somebody's drink, despite it already being illegal. It was revealed that the woman who helped to take the winter fuel payment off vulnerable elderly people, the Pensions Secretary Liz Kendall, who lives in a £4 million Notting Hill house and has a reported combined salary of more than £700 a year with her banker husband, made the taxpayer pay for her energy bill at her second home. Do you want a little bit more champagne with that socialism, Liz? Eco-loon Ed Miliband is giving away tens of billions of pounds to fund climate change projects abroad, which may mean we end up giving money to the Taliban. Meanwhile, we've paid £1 billion here at home to turn wind turbines off during strong winds to prevent energy surges crashing the grid. Brilliant. Keir Starmer is set to launch a reset of his government on Thursday. That includes his top 5 priorities, and apparently immigration isn't one of them. Not a shock, though, is it? Considering Starmer voted against stricter asylum laws 14 times between 2015 and 2022. Today, it emerged we've had 20,000 illegal Channel migrants since he became PM, and 6 days ago, it was revealed that Labour's Justice Minister, Shabana Mahmood, is planning to pay millions more in legal aid for asylum lawyers to clear the backlog. We all know what that means, don't we? Oh, and of course, there's a little bit more evidence of two-tier care and soft-touch policing. pro-Palestine protesters there actually trying to storm Downing Street. Will they be fast-tracked through the courts, do we think? No. It's hardly a shock, then, that there was also a petition launched that has got around 3 million signatures calling for another general election. All of that has happened in the last couple of weeks. It's good to be back. I have missed you, but I can't help but wonder whether or not Britain can survive another 150 days of Keir Starmer. Let's get our thoughts on my panel. Daily Express columnist Carol Malone. We've also got journalist and broadcaster Benjamin Butterworth. And we have the former chairman of the Tory party, Sir Jake Berry. Carol, can we survive another 150 days of this, do you think?
Well, our electoral system says we have to endure another 150 days. But, you know, the question should be, how much damage is he going to cause in the next 150 days? You've just gone through what he's done in the first 150. And, you know, he's talking about this relaunch, this reset that's going to happen on Thursday. You know, this is just the act of a desperate, floundering government. He doesn't need... You know, he calls this relaunch, Patrick, the most ambitious plan for government in a generation. This is what his manifesto was supposed to be. This is what his budget was supposed to be. This is what it was in the King's Speech. All of that was supposed to reset this country after the Tory failure. And everything he's done has turned to you-know-what. It's all gone wrong, and you've just listed it all. I won't do it again. He has no ideas. Professor Sir John Curtis, the polling guy, he said, Starmer has shown no ability to easily explain how he's going to get us out of this mess, how the country's going to get out of the mess. And it's true, he hasn't. He has no plan, he has no ideas, he's a dud Prime Minister, and this can only get worse.
I mean, he's just given a speech, OK? During that speech, he's been talking about how Britain won't shy away from its obligations on the world stage. With this Prime Minister, Jay, it's all about everyone else apart from the Brits, isn't it?
Well, that's what it feels like. I'm just going to pick up on something Carol said. She said that's what he's done in the first 150 days. It's actually, that's just what he's done in the last fortnight. While Patrick's been away, that's how bad it is. We've gone beyond 150 days to a fortnight of calamity. Look, the thing about relaunches is they don't matter. If you're a failing Prime Minister, you are failing. You can't fix that. It feels like the British public, after 150 days, have already made their minds up that they don't want Keir Starmer to be PM. Where they do matter, the only place they do matter is in the Westminster bubble. He's just setting up a whole load of hurdles for a few months' time that he's going to fail to get over, and just reaffirm in our minds that this man is not fit to lead.
You're not going to believe this. I've just had this in my ear now. Apparently this is going to be in the front pages, so we're going to talk about this a bit later on. But apparently, talks are, quotes, well advanced on Keir Starmer giving the Elgin Marbles back. That's just come into my ear now. What is this guy playing at, Benjamin? Does he hate us?
No, I mean, I have to say, I'm amused at Sir Jake saying that resets don't work for failing Prime Ministers. It's something you'd...
Well, I've seen a few of them. I've seen a few of them.
You'd be an expert on that from the last couple of years of governments. No, I think Keir Starmer's doing an extremely good job, because what we've got here is a man that isn't shaken and obsessed with the daily outrage and furore from people like you. What he's doing is focusing on fixing the foundations. You know, you've got a 5-year parliament...
Hang on. How does giving the Elgin Marbles back or giving the Chagos Islands away to China fix the foundations of this country?
Well, the Chagos Islands was something that the US has heavily supported as being able to protect their military base.
And ours.
And actually, one of the reasons why the Chagos Islands deal needed to be done was because Brexit has damaged this country's position.
Oh, here we go.
Because lots of countries in Africa have been not supporting our case, and so it weakened us diplomatically. And that's why the US supports it.
We have to pick you up with this. You say he's doing a very good job. The latest report's out now. The economy is going to take a 50 billion quid hit. There's going to be 125,000 job losses. We have a Chancellor who lied about her credentials and has put forward a budget that has upset everyone in this country. The farmers. She shafted the farmers, the pensioners. She shafted businesses, national insurance hikes. How can you say that is a country that's doing well?
What you have is a Prime Minister that isn't scared of vested interests.
No.
And I know that the vested interests either side of me are afraid of this. But a man that says to multi-millionaire farmers that you can't just buy up land to avoid inheritance tax.
Calls a meeting with BlackRock and sits opposite them on the table there and goes and closes up Bill Gates.
Good. That's why we had an investment summit which brought in more than £60 billion to the country.
Well, Louise Haig almost destroyed the investment summit before it started. The British public have made their mind up about him.
Absolutely.
He is not in favour of Britain. He never puts our country first. He's putting the Mauritian government first, apparently the Greek government first now. He's kowtowing to the Chinese. This guy does not believe in Britain. He has been found out by the British public and they're absolutely fed up of it. You don't have to take my word for it. I would say that. I'm an ex-Tory MP. Look at the polling. He is on his knees. He's not up to the job. He's not
His
fit.
personal polling now is now minus 38.
Yeah.
Since he's come into office, he's had 61 reviews and consultations. That is not a man with a plan. That is not a man who knows what he's doing.
I'm going to ask this question because surely we're going to have Rupert Lowe on. Now, Rupert Lowe's been doing some really interesting Reform MP, really interesting, well, almost investigative journalism, actually, to be honest with you, about immigration and what we believe is a monumental cover-up that's taking place there. But I do put this to you, Benjamin. Nothing sums up Keir Starmer's priorities more than the idea that he's about to release this new Great Reset, 5 great pledges. Didn't include immigration in that at all. But he does seem to think that giving away the Elgin Marbles is more of a priority to the British people than sorting mass immigration and sorting illegal immigration. He's actually only ruling for a very small group of metropolitan lovies, isn't he?
No, that's just nonsense. Look, we don't know if anything is happening with the Elgin Marbles. We'll see what the front pages say later in the show. But I would point out that I don't think anybody's lives are affected by whether that is in this country or in Greece.
But their lives are affected by the fact he's refused to put a cap on immigration. He's refused to do that.
Hang on, he came out and spoke the other day.
20,000 have come in this year. This is a man who said, we can and we will stop the boat.
Smash the gangs.
And he hasn't.
And you were taking people for fools if you thought that was going to be possible in 4 months or 5 months.
Should we have called him a liar then?
After it went through the roof. The British electorate are fools. That says all you need to know about the man. Apparently he takes people for fools if they believe what he has said on immigration.
No, I think the British public...
the economy. Immigration is...
economy's not crashed.
His government is in tatters.
This is incredible. You just said you crashed the economy from the guy that was chairman of the Tory party under Liz Truss.
Actually, bond rates are higher now.
Liz Truss's right-hand man has the audacity to complain about the economy being...
The bond market's now...
seriously.
Look at the figures. The bond yields are higher now under Keir Starmer than they were under Liz Truss.
I find it absolutely astonishing if reports tonight that are just coming out in the last couple of minutes are true, that Keir Starmer is about to give away the Elgin Marbles on the back of trying to rush through the Jaguar silence thing. If he thinks that is more of a priority to Britain, British interests and the British people than stopping migrant hotels popping up in places like Altrincham in Greater Manchester...
He doesn't understand Britain.
Goodness gracious.
He doesn't understand her people.
We'll wait and see. I mean, stay tuned, because at 10:30 we do have the papers, and apparently it is on there, so we'll get into that. But anyway, thank you. Another lively start to the hour. It's time now, talking of giving stuff away. Anyway,
the Elgin Marble.
We're raffling off the Elgin Marble. You could win the Elgin Marble legally. I'm not allowed to say that, sorry. You can't get the Elgin Marbles, but you can get 50 grand. Yes, that's right, in tax-free cash. It's the biggest cash prize we've ever given away, and here's how it could all be yours.
It's our festive treat to you. Your chance to win an incredible £50,000 in tax-free cash. Our biggest ever Great British giveaway. What would you spend £50,000 on in the coming year? Spectacular holidays, a brand new car, home improvements, or maybe you'd just like to save it for a special occasion. For your chance to win £50,000 cash, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. You can call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB10 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 31st of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Coming up, I'll bring you all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages, and it very much sounds like you're not going to want to miss that, and I'll reveal what on earth is going on here.
3, 2, 1. Yay! It worked. Nervous moment there.
What's more wooden, him or the tree? But first, Reform UK MP Rupert Lowe has lashed out at the Home Office. They've failed now to publish stats on crimes committed by illegal and legal migrants. So is the government deliberately misleading the public? Rupert Lowe joins me live, and he's next.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent? I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Every Saturday, 10 till 12, we'll bring you all of the news that you need to know. We'll also remind you that there is so much to smile about.
It's my favourite time of the week. I get to relax, enjoy some light-hearted stories, and let Ellie teach me about fashion too.
That's Saturday Morning Live, every Saturday, 10 till 12.
Only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Headliners. Tomorrow's papers tonight, every night from 11 p.m.
This is Miss Universe fans hailing the end of wokeness and crediting the Trump effect after a biological woman, there's still some of them around apparently, has won the 2024 crown. She's Miss Denmark, because obviously the last decade, you know, it's just been a beast transgender smurfs from Papua New Guinea. They're the only people allowed to win any beauty contest, you know what I mean? You're not allowed to have any...
There's some of the trans women have won these, you definitely wouldn't say no.
They
look amazing.
I've seen but I've seen some of them that didn't, and some that, you know, were clearly just there out of, you know... Well,
have there been more than one trans woman who's won Miss? I didn't realise this.
Yeah.
Okay,
I've got a chart at home. This one isn't trans. Victoria Kjær-Thielvig, 21 of Denmark. Everything about that description says attractive.
Nazis. Okay, yeah. I have seen pictures of her. She is very attractive.
Yes.
She is.
Yes.
I don't know exactly how to put it, but she is kind of not retro or vintage or so. She's quite an old-fashioned notion of beauty, like just absolutely ice blue eyes. You know,
no penis.
Absolutely extraordinary. Clear skin and gorgeous blonde hair. I mean, it's absolutely kind of mid-70s, you know, beauty.
No, apparently the sanity's returned to the beauty pageant industry, so they can get back to, you know, sexualising 4-year-olds and promoting anorexia like they used to. So
there is that,
She will earn an estimated $250,000 annual salary working full-time as Miss Universe, and will live in a luxurious New York City apartment as she carries out her duties, which involve glass coffee tables and rich Saudi businessmen.
Glass coffee tables. And visiting other planets and solar systems and constellations, I would imagine, of Miss Universe.
Being concerned about animals.
Yes, absolutely, and wanting to bring about world peace. I miss those days.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight. Now, my fundraiser for Friends of the Elderly closes in just a few minutes' time, so I'm going to reveal how much you have helped raise for vulnerable pensioners this winter. So thank you very much, everybody. We are now over £400,000 with gift aid. But first, Reform UK MP Rupert Lowe has hit out at the Home Office Minister, Dame Angela Eagle, after her department failed to publish stats on crimes committed by illegal migrants. Well, he's written to her today, accusing her of misleading Parliament, following his exchange in the House of Commons earlier this month.
I've been told by her department in response to a written question that the number of crimes committed by illegal migrants is not available through published statistics. I'm sure that the Home Office does hold the data, so would the Minister today commit to publishing that information in full?
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, there's a huge statistical drop of immigration-related national statistics coming at the end of this week.
Right, but now it's emerged that they're not going to do that. And I'm delighted to be joined now by the Reform UK MP, Rupert Lowe. Rupert, thank you very much. Do you feel lied to? And if so, why? Is there a great big immigration crime cover-up going on here?
Well, I think you can judge for yourself, Patrick. First of all, I hope the honeymoon went well. That's a very important part of life, isn't it? No, I mean, judge for yourselves. I asked a question. As an MP, I think the sovereignty of Parliament requires a minister to answer the question honestly. And she could have said she didn't have the data. She didn't say that. She said there would be a huge statistical dump of information, which sort of indicates that she was going to release it at the end of last week, which she hasn't done. So I think she has misled Parliament. And as you can see, I've written the letter. But the point about this is I've worked out that we can ask 20 questions a day. They're all, they're all going to be on the parliamentary website under my name. I think we've asked a total of 470 or around that so far. And we're getting answers back. Sometimes they don't answer them. Sometimes we have to drill in sort of horizontally to try and get at the data. So the data isn't that available. And I think the most important point is that in a democracy like ours, the government is the servant of the people. So the people are effectively the boss and the government is the servant. And through their vote, they elect them. And what they should be doing is giving transparent information to the British electorate who are paying their taxes, who are living honestly and legally, abiding by the law and doing everything that's required of them in terms of being good citizens. So when people come here illegally, my view is quite clear. If they come here illegally, they should be deported. They should be detained and deported. They should not be distributed across the country. As you know, the Telegraph picked up on an old question about the amount of reoffences that take place from foreign criminals. We've got 10,500 foreign criminals in our prison system at the moment. Again, I would deport them. I think they should go straight away. The actual reoffence rate is huge, and it's a minority of them who are reoffending on more than one occasion.
Do you think, because the Tories were guilty of this as well, and I know this because I submitted FOIs, we offered to pay for them to actually use the manpower to find out all the data and give us all the data, and they refused to let us pay for that. So both Labour and the Tories have been guilty of this. Do you think that there's a chance here that they're sitting on this information because they don't want to stoke racial tensions?
I don't think there's any question about it, Patrick. I think my view is the British people should be given the transparent data and they can judge for themselves. Again, this evening, another question we got an answer back to that you'll be interested in is, it's Home Office policy not to inform local communities if illegal migrants are going to be settled back in their communities. Again, these are law-abiding, decent communities with, community-spirited bodies that basically care about their community. You can't just dump illegal migrants in the middle of that community without telling them. I mean, that's extraordinary.
Let's just emphasise that, Rupert. Let's just emphasise that. So you had it confirmed today that it is Home Office policy to not tell local people if they are going to put a load of illegal migrants in their town or village.
Correct. That was the answer to the question. It's on Twitter. I've tweeted it. So ultimately, we're getting a load of this stuff back, Patrick, and all I would say is really they should be respecting the sovereignty of Parliament. They should be delivering answers to questions asked by MPs who are supposed to be, under our Constitution, ultimately, the people running the country. The problem is we've been undermined by all these quangos that have come along since Tony Blair's Human Rights Act and Equality Act, who have undermined the sovereignty of Parliament and meant that there are people who aren't accountable to the British electorate making decisions on behalf of the electorate. So I have absolutely no doubt that the information, and as we get this information, it's becoming clear that illegal migrants should be deported straight away, detained and deported, not put across the country and damage our communities. After all, they're being paid for by the British taxpayer.
Well, this is it. Look, this is it. And, a lot of this, actually, is a continuation of what the Tories were doing. In fact, pretty much all of it.
The Tories are just as guilty. The Tories are just as guilty.
Yeah, not telling communities.
He said he was going to stop this, and he has singularly failed to do it. 20,000 migrants now on his watch, illegal migrants.
People could be forgiven, Rupert. People could be forgiven, Rupert, I think, for wondering whether or not there is some kind of cover-up going on here. The legal migration figures are always rounded up. and they're rounded up in a way that allows it to look like when they have the next round of migration figures, we can go, oh, there's been a 20% drop. Well, there hasn't, because you just rounded the last lot up by 300,000. Then you've got this issue of, well, why are we not being told the amount of crimes that illegal migrants are committing? Why are we not telling local communities when there's going to be a migrant hotel? It does smack of some kind of cover-up. Obviously, people would deny that there is a cover-up, but Rupert, very quickly, and I'm sorry to throw this at you, but it has just landed in my lap, quite literally. It's in The Guardian tomorrow, and this is talks over a return of the Elgin Marbles to the Greeks are well advanced. Apparently, Keir Starmer is in advanced talks with the Greeks now to actually hand the Elgin Marbles back. What do you think of that?
Well, I think he's rapidly getting the nickname of a surrender monkey, isn't he, Patrick? I mean, I honestly, with the Chagos Islands, where clearly the new administration does not support what Biden's saying. A man who, by the way, just pardoned his son, having said he wouldn't, which is quite extraordinary in itself. So I think it's sort of, the British people won't like that. I mean, it's like the Chagos Islands. It's like all the things that seem to be happening under Labour. They don't seem to respect the British taxpayer, the sovereignty of this country, and effectively the long-term security of our people. So it's no wonder you've got nearly 3 million people in that poll expressing their concern about Keir Starmer and his government.
Well, Ruby, can I just say thank you very much for coming on, and you know I'm fascinated to see where your never-ending machine gun fire of questioning gets you in the end. Hopefully, you have more luck than I've had at times.
Well, I've got some great stuff I've been working on, Patrick, in my constituency. You're gonna. There's a few fireworks about to go off down there. Don't you worry about that.
All right, well, give them to me first. Rupert, thank you very much. Take care. Rupert Lowe, the Reform UK MP. Right, coming up, the very first of tomorrow's newspaper front pages have landed. I'll bring them to you next. Oh, and bit of Hawks, this, isn't it?
3, 2, 1. Hey, it worked. Nervous moment there.
I've never seen a man turn the lights off while turning them on again. But anyway, loads more where that came from. Stay tuned.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Turning very cold overnight in northern areas with a sharp frost and a risk of ice. Cloudier elsewhere though, so not turning quite as chilly, but it's still going to be a fairly cold night on offer for all. We've currently got high pressure sat to the north of the country. That's bringing in a cold northerly flow of air, bringing us that risk of frost and ice overnight. So any showers across Scotland, Northern Ireland, northern parts of England, generally easing away. Plenty of clear skies here where we're likely to see that sharp frost by the time we reach the morning. Perhaps even some freezing fog patches and some icy stretches too, but much cloudier across central and southern areas, a slight breeze here, so it will still be a cold night, but it's not going to be turning quite as frosty. So to start the day on Tuesday, do take care if you're out and about early, likely to see a sharp frost and some icy stretches, still a few showers feeding into western parts too. Similar across Northern Ireland, plenty of clear skies here, so likely to see some frosty conditions, once again a risk of ice too. But elsewhere across central parts of England, southern England, parts of Wales too, more cloud here, so still a chilly start to the day, but not turning quite as frosty. And generally for many of us, it's going to be a largely settled day. Plenty of sunny spells, though still on the chilly side. We will start to see a bit of a change from the west, some cloud and outbreaks of rain moving into parts of Cornwall, and similar across western parts of Scotland, some outbreaks of rain here too. Heavy at times, and may even start to see some snow across higher levels too. But on the whole, a chilly day, highs of between 8 to 10 Celsius in the south. Heading into Wednesday, once again, rain clearing overnight, leaving a risk of ice, particularly across Scotland in the morning, but otherwise largely settled, plenty of sunshine, though once again we'll start to see cloud move in from the west, seeing some outbreaks of rain across Northern Ireland, western parts of Scotland too, and it's fairly unsettled towards the end of the week, milder though, before it turns cold again into the weekend. Bye-bye.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
If you want your news to be straight talking,
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
down to earth,
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
and most importantly, honest,
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get the book thrown at them.
then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Nightmare commute? Kick it up a gear with GB News Radio. You can listen online and on DAB+ and on the GB News app. We're also on TuneIn and the Radio Player apps. From the school run to rush hour, get revved up with GB News Radio. We are the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight. Here are the first of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. The Metro, no hiding place for stalkers. Corrie Star inspires a new law change. Let's go to the Daily Mail. It's revealed that Labour has set up 67 taxpayer-funded reviews, task forces and consultations in its first 150 days. They say this is government by talking shop. They also say that BBC bosses refuse to take, quote, misogynist Greg Wallace off the air. So there we go. Let's go to the Daily Express. Greg Wallace says sorry for, quotes, any offence caused, so he's still leading the news agenda in certain quarters. The Daily Telegraph, Starmer, I will not side with Trump over Europe. The PM defies the president-elect's allies as he tells Ukraine to prepare for peace talks. Interesting, all right, a bit more on that later. The Sun, boiling point. MPs want the show pulled. 6 more Greg, quotes, victims. He grovels over video. BBC MasterChef scandal, they call it. I'm also going to be talking to you shortly in The Guardian about talks to return the Elgin Marbles, apparently are in advanced talk. So we'll do that. But just want to bring you up to date on something, because as you will know, about 3 months ago now, I set out to raise a little bit of money for the wonderful charity Friends of the Elderly. So I thought maybe I could do something to help them out. And that's why today I have launched a fundraiser for Friends of the Elderly. I've set an initial target, all right, of £100,000. And it was stories like Sue's that made my fundraiser all the more important. Mind letting me know roughly what your weekly food budget is?
£15.
A week? Yeah, 15 quid a week. Then I took myself up to Stanley in County Durham and saw firsthand the lengths that some pensioners are going to stay warm this winter. To keep yourself warm as you move around your home. Well, what is it that you do?
I bought a heater last year and I just swapped room to room with it. Yeah, it's over there.
So it's that heater here. So you take that heater with you from room to room as you go around?
Yeah, when it gets really cold and nothing.
And then it was time for me to get a bit cold myself. Very cold indeed. And I stripped off and took a dip in Stickle Tarn in the lakes.
So control your breathing. Nice and easy. I've got to keep moving. Oh, God.
Ah, yes, but it was all for a good cause. And I cannot tell you how proud I am of you, our GB News family, for rallying together to help our pensioners. And the time has come now to close the fundraiser. And I can reveal that we, because it was a team effort, have raised £408,000 with gift aid. So it's 335.5 grand there that you'll see in out-and-out donations. And with gift aid, we have raised, well, yeah, 407, why not? £407,000. So thank you. What an unbelievable effort that is from every single person who's donated. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for everyone who donated a £5, to everyone who donated, I think we had 1,500 quid. Thank you so, so much. I mean, you will have saved lives this winter. That money is going directly. In fact, it's already gone now because we've closed the fundraiser. That has already gone to Friends of the Elderly so they can start helping the old people pay their energy bills and pay to get to doctor's appointments, help them out. So thank you. Really, really unbelievable stuff from every single one of you wonderful GB News viewers and listeners. So thank you so much for that. Now, another news story that's doing the rounds now. It's just landed. The Guardian are reporting there's an agreement in principle to hand the Elgin Marbles back to Greece. The PM has given his blessing to the British Museum, who are in discussions with Greece's foreign minister. Now, the Greek Prime Minister is due in the UK to meet Sir Keir Starmer on Tuesday, although it's apparently not expected that deal's on the agenda. First the Chagos Islands, now the marbles. I mean, has Keir Starmer lost his marbles, Carol?
Well, I think he has, but as you just said, when you kind of go down the story, it says it's not going to be talked to by these two men when they meet. So do we think it's going to happen? It doesn't sound like it is, really, does it, to you?
I think it's already a done deal, isn't it?
Is it
if
a
you
done
read
deal?
the article, the big player in this is George Osborne. And George Osborne has been working with the museum to find a way to return these back to Greece. Look, I just think this is completely the wrong thing to do. These are British artefacts. OK, they originate in Greece, but we have lots of artefacts that originate all over the world. The reason that the Greeks don't have the rest of the Parthenon frieze is because they allowed it to be destroyed. In fact, these artefacts were saved for global humanity by coming here to Britain. And I just say, finally, this is part, if you like, of a global agenda, which is about sort of wiping out Britain's history. It's the globalist agenda. We're all citizens of the globe. No, I'm not. I'm a citizen of Britain. I'm proud of our history. I'm proud of our culture. And I want to push back and resist these sort of globalist agendas which seek to strip away what makes Britain away
this
from
is an unbelievable statement of total weakness from our Prime Minister, isn't it, Benjamin?
Well, he hasn't said anything, so no, it's not.
Well, he said he's in favour.
But
he said he's in favour of returning them. His spokesman has said that. Read the article, Benjamin.
Talking about... No, the spokesman says our position on the Elgin Marbles has not changed. But talking about stripping away culture, well, I imagine that's how the Greek feel about the fact that these marbles are in the UK and not in Greece. You know, I've just got back from travelling around Iraq, and the original Babylon Gate is in Germany, not in Iraq, because the Germans just helped themselves to it. I mean, incredibly
when
weird.
ISIS stormed through parts of the Middle East, they blew up things like the Elgin Marbles. They blew up historical things. This is why we ended up with some of them, right?
I think that's a very self-flagellating way to look at things. I mean, you know, there was... No, I mean... but you can't just apply it to every country, right? You know, if these went back to Greece now, I don't think they're likely to be blown up by ISIS, and I don't think it's a very relevant argument. You know, I was sharing a room with an Egyptian guy who said, why are the pyramids still in Egypt? Well, because they were too big for Britain to take them. You know, that's how the world sees us.
This is from the man who just told me in the green room he thought the Elgin Marbles were marbles.
There's
years ago.
Nothing's safe in the green room.
When he was 20, he thought there were marbles with little eyes in them.
Let's see what happens with this. Let's see what happens with this. But, you know, again, just can't help but wonder. You've got to imagine yourself, if Keir Starmer was still a lawyer, what side of the fence do we think he would be on when it comes to
He'd give them away. He'd want to give them away.
Yeah, well, there we go. Now, turning on the Christmas lights at Downing Street every year, it is supposed to be... It's a nice job. It's got to be an easy job. It's fun-filled, it's joyous, it's festive. It's impossible to make it really horrifically awkward. Or is it?
You please join me when I say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yay! It worked. Nervous moment there.
He has no humour, no sense of humour. You said it before. It was a very good line, which was more wood than him or the tree. Yeah. And you're exactly right.
It's the only thing in his entire premiership that's worked. That's why he said it's worked. Everything else has failed.
And it nearly didn't.
But the tree lights have come on.
But his wife looked really uncomfortable there. You know, when people start, she had both her arms by her side, no touches, no nothing, no Christmas spirit there, is there?
I think you're reading too much into that. But look, I think, you know, I'd rather a Prime Minister that likes to do the job than likes to be on show. I think it makes a refreshing change.
Oh, please. Hello.
I just thought...
I wonder who paid for the Christmas tree.
Yeah,
well, the same people that pay for it every year.
I know a lot of people online are saying, you know, he's turning on the lights outside Downing Street while pensioners are turning the lights off in their own homes.
That's true.
And things like that.
True.
There is a case to be had for it. And there is also a case to have a little bit of joy. Although, for me, it was more of a thing about, like, is he human?
Where's the school choir singing carols and, it's just so badly done. It just says everything you want to know about Starmer's Britain. It's just a bloody bit.
Hang on. Put a microphone in front of the other people that are there. If there was a bit of cheering, give it a bit of atmos.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they've spent more time trying to rescue the economy than put a
they've wasted that time, haven't they? 50 billion quid hit it's going to take after that budget. So
we'll all get baubles from Starmer.
Well.
That's when he rescues the economy. That's the gift that keeps coming.
I wonder if you had it right with balls, but...
Well, how long have you been out of the country? Because you're talking like you've been out for 6 months.
All right, we've got to move it on. We've got to move it on. Coming up, all of the rest of tomorrow's newspaper front pages are hurtling your way in just a second.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
Fabio, thank you for coming in. It's great to see you.
Nice to meet you.
So you were born near Rome?
Yeah, in a very small town. It's called Serrone, about an hour south of Rome, on the hillside.
Was it a place of excellent cuisine?
It is, indeed. A place of excellent cuisine and red wines. In fact, it's the only DOCG red wine of the region,
Most of your career, I mean, this may seem self-evident, you've cooked Italian. I'm thinking that's quite a challenge to cook Italian in Malaysia, to cook Italian in Bermuda or Turkey. Was that a challenge?
It was, but I like challenges, so that's one of the reasons why I started to travel, because of my job. For example, in Malaysia, I've been sent there to twist a grill restaurant into an Italian restaurant inside a 5-star hotel. And I was doing the chef training for the local chefs. And then I build the menus, I train the chefs, and then I eventually go back.
In Italian food, is there lots of innovation?
I would say in the past 10 years, yes. It used to be a very traditional cuisine, but in the past 10, 15 years, Italian chefs, they are a bit more open-minded, I would say. Give us some examples of your innovation. Well, hide and seek is very well around the innovation. In that bar is a bar and kitchen where we have a sherry plate concept, where we try to take our guests in a culinary journey, starting from a classic dish and then reinventing into a modern twist. Usually I like to twist the style of cuisine between different countries, different continents.
GB News, the People's Channel.
OK, a couple more front pages for you. We're going to start with The Independent. So they've got a picture story of Joe Biden and his son Hunter, because Biden has pardoned Hunter, which, despite repeatedly saying he wouldn't do that. They've also got another national newspaper, running on the front page with Greg Wallace. They go, Wallace forced to eat humble pie. So will the BBC cancel his hit show? So there we go. The Guardian, again, BBC rejects calls to pull MasterChef episodes. Sorry, so they're going to take ones they've already recorded off air. I think it might be getting a bit silly, this Greg Wallace stuff.
That is silly.
Again, he doesn't say he's done anything criminal. He doesn't appear to do anything criminal. We don't know what might come out down the line, so I don't want to speak too soon on it. But I think
I do think he's done, though, don't you? I think
everyone's decided he's done.
No, but I mean, I don't think they should pull the ones he's done already. But I don't think he's not hit the company that makes it, a company called Banjay, actually said today that he is not contracted to do any more series.
Right.
So that's kind of indicative, I think.
Right. Well, there we go. Well, look, those are your front pages. Now, I wanted to just finish this particular show with, honestly, one of the most insane stories I've ever read. So it's from Germany, and it's a Christmas festival on the island of Borkum, and it's been banned. Why, you ask? Well, because it involves chasing women around the street with cow horns and then beating them on the backside. I promise you, I have not made this up. Nope. Borkum Lads Club, which has organised the festivities since the 1830s on the North Sea Frisian island, was forced to apologise for historical actions of the past years after a TV documentary went viral exposing this tradition. The island's mayor has criticised the documentary, though, saying that it's dubious, and said that the tradition is celebrated by men, women and children every year. I'm going to throw this over to you, Carol, because you've been looking into this story. What is this?
You could. This should be filed under. You couldn't make it up. So it's this little German island called Borkum, and every year they have this thing. So women run down the streets, guys run after them with cow horns, and they beat them on the bum when they catch them. Now, there's supposed to be a matter of choice on this, but this documentary said there isn't. That some of them, when these women have been caught, they really get battered to hell, and they're bruised and beaten and all the rest of it. So I mean, basically, this is state-sponsored sex abuse, frankly, and every line on this story is a humdinger. I mean, so they even have certain villages are known as catchers to help with the hunt. So they find women and they hold them down until these people come and beat them on the bum as the villagers look on cheering. It says the women who've been beaten are given a ginger cake as a present afterwards, apparently, like that's any form of compensation. But the line that really got me was the woman, she's called Christine Obergast. She's the Lower Saxony State Secretary in the Ministry of Social Affairs. She says anyone who wants to be spanked with a horn is allowed to do so, but those that don't must be respected. Well, that's not happening, apparently. They're not being respected at all. They're being chased and held down and then given ginger cake as a treat. It's just, it's not on. I mean, you know.
It's not, no, Carol, you're right, it's not on.
I like the way not going on holiday this year.
I like the way we've just found it. Carol Malone, it's not on.
Why this is equated with Christmas. It's not a Christmas treat for the women, is it?
No.
Apart from the ginger cake.
No.
Getting beaten to hell with a cow horn is not Christmas fun.
I just thought it was an unbelievable story, so I thought I'd bring that to your attention. Right, it's time to reveal today's greatest Britain and Union jackass. So, Carol, sticking with you, who's your greatest Britain, please?
I've got to stop laughing now, because this is important.
OK.
This is all the campaigners and supporters who worked tirelessly in the face of cabinet interference, let me say, to push through the assisted dying bill. These people, you know, for once a lot of MPs did what their constituents wanted them to do, and that's to vote for this. To vote for people, the state interference on this really upset me, but this is about terminally ill people wanting a good death, wanting a death at the time of their choosing, not at the time a doctor says so.
OK.
I concur with that. I think Kim Leadbeater is an admirable politician.
Completely.
Mine is Queen Camilla. She's sick again. She's going to miss the state opening, the state welcoming of Qatar, and we wish her well.
OK. All right.
And mine is Eduardo Bove, who collapsed in a match in Italy on honorary Great Britain, and it just, I think, shows the risk that professional sportsmen pay to entertain us every single week.
Absolutely. OK, in a rare victory for Benjamin, it is Queen Camilla, who's our greatest Britain. Now, we're going to have to be super quick with this.
OK, Craig Wallace, a misogynist and half-witted dancer who allegedly upset women. Anyway, his arrogance is towering. He clearly doesn't think he's done anything wrong, apart from the apology he's made tonight, which I suspect his lawyers have told me have to. He's an idiot.
OK.
Mine is an alleged thief that's stolen £25,000 worth of pies in North Yorkshire. So if you spot £25,000 of pies...
Is it mince pies?
Mince pies.
You've lost a few pounds, so you probably won't be after them. But, yeah, they've gone missing in North Yorkshire.
OK, yeah, go on.
So there's a great tradition in the United States at Thanksgiving that the President Joe Biden pardons a turkey. He has gone one step further this year and pardoned his own son, despite having said he won't do it. Hunter Biden has all sorts of alleged crimes laid against his door, and Joe Biden, trashing what's left of his reputation, if he knows what he's doing, has pardoned him.
It's Joe Biden. Joe Biden's today's honorary Union jackass for pardoning his own son. Right, Headliners is coming up next, and it's presented today by, I believe, the wonderful Josh Ayres. Yes, lovely stuff. What's on?
Patrick, first of all, I just want to say I missed you.
I missed you.
And I've had your honeymoon photos printed out, and it's been fantastic. So thank you so much.
As long as you're not had them laminated, that's all right.
But tonight we have Kerry Marks, we have Aideen McQueen making her Headliners debut, we have Trump threatening he's going to hit someone harder than they've ever been hit, and we've got great stories. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Lovely stuff. Look, Headliners, always an absolutely fantastic show, especially with Josh at the house. So make sure that you keep it GB News for at least the next hour. Thank you, everybody, on my wonderful panel. And thank you, everyone, who donated to the Friends of the Elderly fundraiser. 407 grand. Back of the net.
We'll see a cold snap, which will quickly develop into a warm front. Boxed boiler repairs, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Turning very cold overnight in northern areas with a sharp frost and a risk of ice. Cloudier elsewhere though, so not turning quite as chilly, but it's still going to be a fairly cold night on offer for all. We've currently got high pressure sat to the north of the country. That's bringing in a cold northerly flow of air, bringing us that risk of frost and ice overnight. So any showers across Scotland, Northern Ireland, northern parts of England, generally easing away. Plenty of clear skies here where we're likely to see that sharp frost by the time we reach the morning. Perhaps even some freezing fog patches and some icy stretches too, but much cloudier across central and southern areas, a slight breeze here, so it will still be a cold night, but it's not going to be turning quite as frosty. So to start the day on Tuesday, do take care if you're out and about early, likely to see a sharp frost and some icy stretches. Still a few showers feeding into western parts too. Similar across Northern Ireland, plenty of clear skies here, so likely to see some frosty conditions. Once again, a risk of ice too. But elsewhere across central parts of England, southern England, parts of Wales too, more cloud here, so still a chilly start to the day, but not turning quite as frosty. And generally for many of us, it's going to be a largely settled day. Plenty of sunny spells, though still on the chilly side. We will start to see a bit of a change from the west, some cloud and outbreaks of rain moving into parts of Cornwall, and similar across western parts of Scotland, some outbreaks of rain here too. Heavy at times, and may even start to see some snow across higher levels too. But on the whole, a chilly day, highs of between 8 to 10 Celsius in the south. Heading into Wednesday, once again, rain clearing overnight, leaving a risk of ice, particularly across Scotland in the morning, but otherwise largely settled, plenty of sunshine, though once again we'll start to see cloud move in from the west, seeing some outbreaks of rain across Northern Ireland, western parts of Scotland too. And it's fairly unsettled towards the end of the week, milder though, before it turns cold again into the weekend. Bye-bye.
We'll see a cold snap, which will quickly develop into a warm front.
It's the biggest, greatest Great British giveaway so far, with your chance to win a spectacular £50,000 in tax-free cash. 2025 could be amazing, with plenty of treats, holidays and fun on the horizon. How would you enjoy that cash? £50,000 will make someone our biggest ever winner. For your chance to win, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. You can call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB10 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 31st of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
Locals in Abingdon in Oxfordshire have signed a petition to keep the name of their local pub, and it's called The Midget. Now, this comes after a university lecturer led an 11-month campaign to change the name of the pub, and the owners, Green King, have caved in. But locals are fighting back, and GB News spoke to one resident, Leanne Thompson, for her thoughts earlier today.
I'm not feeling great about it, to be honest. You know, it's a pub that's been here for a very long time. It's called The Midget after a MG car, and they're changing it to the Roaring Raindrop, which a lot of people are not happy about. We know why they're changing it, but a lady apparently came in who was very upset at the offensive term for the name midget. But nobody here sees it as an offensive term. You don't see the midget and feel any kind of offence towards that. It's named after a car. If she was to actually come, she might actually know more about it, but apparently she's not even been into the pub. She's just heard about it and broadcasted on social media that